All right, just turning on captions. So today we're going to be talking about assistive technology for students with hearing impairments or deafness. Our host today is Span Parent Advocacy Network, and Tara Sismanik is going to be our moderator and woman at the controls. And today's presentation is funded by a grant from the Assistive Technology Advocacy Center of Disability Rights, New Jersey. Thank you, ATAC. Here's the link, excuse me, to the shared Google Drive folder where you can find a copy of today's Google Slides presentation. Tara, if you would be so kind to put this in the chat for folks to get if they need it, I'd appreciate that. The next assistive technology webinar I'm going to be doing will be on Tuesday, February 20th from 12 to 1 p.m. And it's all about assistive technology and artificial intelligence. And we're going to be looking at the intersection of artificial intelligence and assistive technology and how it helps people with disabilities for a variety of tasks. And some of you may know that artificial intelligence has been used by assistive technology devices for many years, but since the Chat GPT was released and the generative AI systems have come out, the technology has taken a huge leap forward, and we're going to look on how this is impacting the world of assistive technology. And here's the registration link if you want to sign up for that. You can access past recordings of assistive technology webinars on SPAN's YouTube Assistive Technology channel. Here's the link. I'm hoping at some point today's recording will be on this YouTube channel. And here's the link to the YouTube channel. So a little bit about myself. I'm an assistive technology consultant. I work with children and adults with disabilities, providing evaluations, training, ongoing support, webinars, workshops, and modifications customization. For in-person services, I work in Northern and Central New Jersey and in New York City area, or remotely anywhere else. And here's my email address. I'm sorry, website address. I offer free 30-minute AT consultation sessions for anyone with a disability or family members or providers over phone, Zoom, Meet, FaceTime, Duo, etc. If you these are not in person, these are remote. If you'd like to set up an appointment, please send me an email or give me a call, and we can schedule your consultation session. These are especially good for people getting started in assistive technology, and they're looking for help and which way to go to get started. A big part of assistive technology is trying things out before you decide if something's going to be a good match or not. And if you're having difficulty finding something or finding a piece of that equipment to try out, look no farther than the Assistive Technology Lending Center, which is hosted at Advancing Opportunities. This is also funded by ATAC. They have a excellent assistive technology lending center. They've got hundreds, maybe thousands of pieces of assistive technology, which you can search on their website. And we'll be talking about their offerings for people with hearing impairments. They have quite a number of devices available for loan, and it's all free of charge. The shipping's free in both directions, and they're really nice people to boot. So I definitely encourage you to check out the AT Lending Center. And in general, for those who are new to the field of assistive technology, it has two parts. The first are the things, the devices, the technologies, and the second are the services. You really need them both. They work together. Having one without the other usually is not very satisfactory for the individual or the people working with that person with a disability. So if you're getting stuff or purchasing some new things, make sure you're thinking about who's going to provide the training, who's going to set it up, who's going to customize it, who's going to show everyone how to use it, etc. Important to have both. And for those who need a textbook definition of assistive technology, here it is straight from IDEA. And it's any technology, whether it's made custom made or off the shelf, that is used to increase, maintain, or improve the functional capability of a child with a disability. Pretty broad category, and that was done on purpose to keep it open and to keep the definition as wide as possible for technologies that may help a student with a disability increase, maintain, or improve their functional capabilities. I just want to point out this usually does not refer to medical devices that are surgically implanted or the replacement of such a device. For instance, today we are going to talk about cochlear implants. Some people may consider it assistive technology. Some people may consider it a medical device. There's a little bit of a gray area there. And for those who need it, here is the full list of all the things that are included under the term of assistive technology services. Training is the most commonly used, but it also includes coordinating the use, selecting technology, purchasing supports, and evaluations. And I might be preaching to the choir, but a lot of people say, well, why is assistive technology even something I should be looking at or thinking about? And that is because it supports the least restrictive environment for learning. It supports greater participation with peers, which is a key indication of inclusion. It helps students access the general education curriculum, which is kind of the overall goal of special education in many ways. It supports greater independence, and it helps students learn and reach their educational goals. A really great framework for matching technologies to students is the SET framework. And the key take-home idea behind the SET framework is you don't start with the technology. You start with the student. Then you define their environment. Then you define the specific task. And once you've done step 1, 2, and 3, which anyone can do who knows the student, then you can start looking at potential technologies to consider or to try out or to look at. If you start with the technology, sometimes you may end up going in the wrong direction. And technology can be cool. I know sometimes you get, kind of enamored with a certain technology, and it happens to me many times, but you have to step back and follow this framework so that you end up in a place where you want to be instead of in the other direction. So I want to get a little bit of information about you. We have a Menti poll, which you can just type in this web link, or if you have a smartphone with a camera, you can use this QR code. And I'd like you to just fill out page number 3, just page 3 of the Menti poll, so I can learn a little bit about you. And in a second, I'm going to show you the Menti poll, and and it's anonymous, by the way, but it will show us a little bit of the results from your entry. So again, click the link or use the QR code. And just give me a second. I'm going to go into my Menti poll. Percent mode. Okay. Page 1, page 2, and page 3. So here's your results popping up. So far, we've got one family member, one teacher or school professional, and one vocational counselor or employment-related professional. If you're having trouble connecting to the Menti poll, just send us a chat, and Tara would be happy to help you with that. Because I think we have more than 3 people. Anyone having trouble getting onto the Menti poll?
So far, no one has put anything in the chat log.
Okay.
Don't have all the results in.
Okay. Okay, we'll be coming back to the Menti poll later. So thank you for the 3 people who entered their info in there. Because I believe we have how many people do we have? 7. Okay. All right. Moving on. All right, let's get our captions. All right, captions are back on. Okay, so this is what we're going to be talking about specifically, 7 different areas of assistive technology for people with hearing impairments. Hearing supports, so these are personal devices that people are wearing. Communication and using the phone, computer technology access, note-taking supports, remote learning supports, accessing movies, TVs, plays, and performances, and alerts like fire alarms, doorbells, telephone rings, and alarm clocks. So I'll do my best to cover as much of this as I can. If we don't get through all of it, it's here in the Google Slides. And if you have questions about specific technologies that I don't cover in enough detail today, please reach out to me. And if I don't know, I will check my network and find an answer for you. So the first section is hearing aids. Hearing supports, which includes hearing aids, FM systems, inductive loop systems, personal amplifiers, and cochlear implants. Now, these are sometimes called HATs, which are hearing assistive technologies. And I just want to bring you to one website by the American Speech and Hearing Association, ASHA. They have a whole web page on assistive technology for people with hearing impairment. So if you want a little bit more information, that's an excellent website. So FM assisted listening systems, FM systems, are essentially a customized amplifier for one person, like a presenter or a teacher, to increase the volume and decrease the background noise for the individual with a hearing impairment. So FM systems are in a lot of classrooms. There's different kinds. There's built-in kinds, there's portable kinds, there's personal FM systems, but they all have a few characteristics in common. The speaker has to wear some kind of a microphone, and the listener has some sort of a amplified speaker, or they may have a special attachment that connects to their hearing aid that basically pipes the sound directly from the microphone that the teacher's wearing right into the individual's hearing aid, and everything in between. So these do two things. They amplify the sound, they increase the volume of the speaker's voice, but they also screen out background noise. So you put those together and it helps the student hear the teacher or the presenter with better ability. An induction loop system is transmits a magnetic energy to telecoil equipped hearing aids through a wire that surrounds an audience. So if you're in a movie theater or a presentation hall or a conference center that has the induction loop system built into the room, and you have individuals with telecoil equipped hearing aids, you don't have to use an FM system. Now, some movie theaters and some Broadway theaters and conference centers have built-in induction loop systems, and some don't, but you can ask and find out. It doesn't work with all hearing aids, but they need to have a telecoil equipped hearing aid. Some hearing aids, the shape of hearing aids hasn't really changed all that much, but the technologies inside those little devices has been steadily increasing. Two top companies that provide hearing aids are Phonak and Oticon. And if you look at these links, you will be brought to pages that show the latest developments and technologies that are built into hearing aids. And there's quite a bit of technology packed into those little guys that really, including the use of artificial intelligence and a whole bunch of different technologies to make it easier to hear the person that you want to hear in a variety of settings, like noisy settings or outside settings or conferences, or if you're at a party or if you're on a noisy street. And my understanding is that the experience has gotten a lot better in terms of being able to hear things in challenging and varying environments. So if you have old hearing aids and you haven't changed them in a long time, definitely check out, what's new, because there is quite a bit of new technology packed into today's hearing aids. Okay, examples of communication and telephone supports. There's ASL translator apps, relay systems, video calling, phone amplifiers, texting, social media, and transparent face masks. And I know we've kind of moved past the pandemic, but COVID is still here. And if you're in an environment where you need to wear a face mask and you're working with students with hearing impairments, it's very important for them to be able to see your mouth. Excuse me, especially if they read lips, which many people with hearing impairments do. There has been a lot of development in transparent face masks. Some are better than others, but if you can find one that works and is comfortable and does the job of protecting you and others from COVID, then it's definitely worth investing in, because the people with hearing impairments are going to be able to see your lips and understand what you're saying much better than if your face is covered. There's a nice app called the ASL Translator app, which we're going to take a look at now. And this translates between ASL and English. It has stored phrases, as well as you can type in your own phrases. So let's take a look at that. All right, let's get my app going here. Okay, so there's two sections. One's common phrases and one is text to sign. So if I want to go to common phrases, they're listed alphabetically. And I'm going to say, "Are you hungry?" And I apologize for the bad image, that my camera's not picking up faces too well on the iPad, but you can see the hand signs. You can play it again. Are you hungry? You could also loop it, so it'll say it over and over again if you want to learn it. And then you could also type in your own phrase and uh, uh, let's go to a restaurant. Okay. So it'll translate what I typed into American Sign Language. And you can play that again if you want. So if you were having a conversation with someone who was deaf and you didn't have cell phones, so you couldn't text each other, but you wanted to use ASL, you could type in what you want to say and then show this to the person who knows ASL. This app will not do the opposite. There are some that will. So in other words, where you could uh, have a video image of someone signing ASL and have it translated into English. But this is English to ASL or text. And there's a really nice website. There's a nice website that lists more apps for translating between English and ASL. I haven't really tried. Well, here's the one we just looked at, ASL Translator. And here are some others. So if you're into trying apps, here's a bunch of them to try. If you find one that you think is really good, let me know, and I'll add it to my list. Now, telephone relay services or video relay service is for communicating between someone who's a hearing impairment and someone that can hear but doesn't know ASL. You have a third person in between as your sign language interpreter, and they're on a video call. So the deaf caller signs, the sign language interpreter sees the person signing and translates it into spoken speech. The hearing caller hears the interpreter's speech and then they reply, and then the sign language interpreter translates back from speech to ASL via video relay or video call. This service, I believe, is free all over the country. And we all pay surcharges on our phone bills to fund this. And relay service is something that should be available to anyone. Now we're moving on to examples of computer technology access supports, including visual alerts, vibrating alerts, and these are available on computers, Chromebooks, tablets, and phones. Now, I just want to start with something that some of you may know and some of you might not know, and that is about texting. Texting is something that's become so ubiquitous. We all do it. We do it all hours of the day in our sleep, when we're taking a walk, when we're eating. I mean, we're always texting. And for those who have grown up with it, it's just a part of life. But it was originally invented in 1992 specifically to help people with hearing impairments communicate. It was invented by three Finnish engineers, and they invented texting. And then the phone companies discovered it and said, hey, this is a really simple and low data way for people to communicate between phones. So the phone companies jumped on it and they started, developing it and adding it to all smartphones. But it was originally invented for people with hearing impairments. If you want to know more, just click this link and it'll give you the folks' names and how they did it. Visual alert settings. This is something that many of us don't think about. If we can hear when your phone beeps or your computer beeps, if you have a hearing impairment, you're not going to get that. You're going to completely miss it. So you need a visual equivalent of that, some sort of blink, or it could be a vibration, or both. And I just wanted to point out that iOS devices within the last year have gotten a major have gotten a major upgrade in their accessibility settings. And Apple has really been working overtime, adding all kinds of really cool features to iPhones and iPads. And here's a whole list of built-in features on iPhones and iPads. The newer versions, I believe it's I'd have to check what version is, but I think this is within the last year. So your version would have to be within the last year. Uh, would have had to come out within the last year. Um, and this live listen, I think, is very cool. It turns your iPhone, iPad, or iPod Touch into a remote microphone that sends sound from your environment to your hearing aids or AirPods. Video subtitles is built in, headphone accommodations, etc. So there's a lot of really cool features that are built in to the iPhone, iPad. Definitely check them out if you have one of these devices. And all of our computers, our Chromebooks, our devices, they all have built-in settings to change the audio settings of your devices to accommodate you. So if you need audio, mono audio, or you need to adjust the volume, or if you need to show audio alerts visually, these have been on all of our devices for years and years. Usually they're under the accessibility settings or ease of access settings. So check it out on your device to see what's there. It's been there forever. Over 20 years, they've been on all of our devices. So definitely check it out and explore those settings on your device. You might be pleasantly surprised. Okay, we're moving on to note-taking supports. Many note-taking supports involve a human transcriber. Now, I don't know if I would agree with my own statement. Technology is not currently sufficient by itself. In some cases, it may be, but it's always a good idea to have a human check the results if you're using a digital transcription service, because it can make mistakes. And depending on what you're learning, like if you're a medical student, it's really important that everything is accurate. All the medical terms have to be correct. Otherwise, you may learn it, you may learn something incorrectly, and that's never a good idea in medical school. So it's always good, especially in high value or high where you don't want any errors. It's good to have a person check the transcription. But the examples of this are CART, remote CART, asynchronous audio transcription, captioning and slideshow software, which is what we're doing today with Google Slides. And by the way, Google Slides, everyone's copy of Google Slides has this built-in setting. I'm going to show you where it is right here. So if you're in presentation mode, you go down to the lower left corner, you click these three dots, you go to captioning preferences, and you turn it on or off. You can decide where you want it, and you can adjust the size of the captioning. So if you're teaching a class and you have Google Slides open and you have a student with a hearing impairment, if you have nothing else, you could always use Google Slides and other programs too to do real-time captioning. All right, so CART and remote CART. CART is communication access real-time transcription. So CART is when you have a person in the classroom or in the meeting that is typing everything that people are saying. So it's kind of like a transcriptionist or a court reporter. And the individual with the hearing impairment has a device in front of them, could be a laptop or a Chromebook, and they're seeing the text that the transcriptionist is typing in the room. And they're usually, you need someone that can keep up with the conversationalist. So it's pretty specialized skill. Excuse me. Remote CART is when the transcriptionist is not on site, but they have some sort of remote audio feed from the classroom. They could be anywhere, and they're typing it, and then that text is being sent to the student, via the internet. Same idea, but the person is not in the room. And then you have things like captioning. We talked about this with Google Slides or PowerPoint 365. Both of these have built-in captioning, like we're using today, and it's a really good solution. But you can even just have it on, even if you're not giving a PowerPoint presentation, just to provide that captioning. I just want to also talk about things like Otter AI and other real-time captioning systems that are really designed, primarily they were designed for college students without disabilities or people in meetings. So they could have a live transcription of what's being said to support note-taking or to document what was being said. But obviously, it's also really great for people with hearing impairments. So any kind of a system where you're using live or real-time transcription is going to be beneficial for someone with a hearing impairment as well. Systems like Glean would be included under this as well. Okay, examples of remote learning supports: captioning, chat, polling, and texting. So we're not doing as much remote instruction as we used to, but if you are doing remote instruction or remote webinars and you have a hearing impairment, obviously you're going to use captioning, but there's also um, other ways as well. So this link will bring you to directions for using transcriptions in Zoom. There's also polling and chat features and polling features of Zoom and other video conference technologies that enable you to communicate with some or all of the other participants by text or by emojis or entering polls and giving responses. So these systems are doing pretty well in terms of providing visual-based ways to communicate, and ways to transcribe the auditory into print. Now, watching movies, accessing movies, TVs, and performances. A lot of movie theaters have built-in assisted listening systems. Um, some of them have um, open captioning or closed captioning, or they'll have a I know in a lot of opera. I'm not into opera, but I've heard that if you go see opera, they'll have a screen on the top above the stage that's translating, the Italian or the German into English. Um, and if you're using some handheld devices, they may be able to translate that speech into text. So if you need it to be amplified, you could use a personal amplifier, which looks like it's about the size of a Walkman, and it has a little built-in microphone that picks up everything that you hear. So it's going to pick up all the sound. So if there's a lot of people talking, it may be difficult to hear just one person, but this is going to be kind of an overall amplifier if you're in a movie theater or watching a play and where the audience is usually quiet. Something like this might work out well. And I just want to point out a nice catalog that has a lot of equipment for people with hearing impairments, Maxi Aids. There's a bunch of others too, but Maxi Aids is a company that's been around a while. They've got a lot of different devices, and it's kind of a fun catalog just to check out and see what they have. So that's a personal amplifier. They also make special amplifiers for making your TV louder. This is especially good if one person has a hearing impairment and the other person doesn't. Um, that way, the person with the hearing impairment gets to adjust their volume, and the person without it can listen comfortably with whatever volume it works for them. Supports for alerts, fire alarms, doorbells, telephone, alarm clocks. This is a big deal, especially for people who are living on their own. Um, and someone rings the doorbell, and if you can't hear it, well, you're not going to know that someone's at your door. Or if the phone rings, and you don't have it set to alert, a vibrate or flash, you might not hear it. Or if you have a smoke alarm and it's only auditory, you might not hear the smoke alarm. So this includes visual fire alarms, flashing doorbell ringers, flashing and vibrating phone ringers, vibrating alarm clocks, and flashing timers. I was working with one individual with a hearing impairment who used his cell phone for everything, but when he was sleeping, he wanted to be woken up by a phone call. But if the phone was on his bureau, he wouldn't hear it vibrating. So he wanted something like a shaker that we put under his pillow that would vibrate pretty heavily, and it would wake him up and let him know that he had a phone call. Um, I'm not sure if he lost a lot of sleep, but he was able to catch his phone call. So that was one solution. Well, you've probably seen these flashing smoke alarms in schools and public buildings and hotels, and they're really, really bright lights. They're like strobe lights. I don't think you could really sleep through these if you have vision. These are super important. And if you live in an apartment on your own again, you can't really just have a regular smoke alarm. You need a flashing smoke alarm, especially in the bedroom. So you'll be woken up and know to get out. A phone flasher. This is designed for landline phones. You plug it in, and when the phone rings, that light flashes. Not so many people have landlines, but a lot of older people do. So I think these are still relevant. And here's the the vibrating phone ringer I was just talking about. Um, so that's it in terms of the devices themselves. I just wanted to go through some of these resources, um, because this webinar is really just meant to be an introduction. But if you need more information, here's a lot of great places to check out. First of all, there's the New Jersey division for the deaf and hard of hearing. Um, they have all kinds of resources. Knowing your rights, American Sign Language, hearing aid programs, sensitivity training. And one thing I did want to bring up, and Tara had mentioned this to me before, and this is really a school-based issue that is actually pretty common. If you're working with students who have been deaf, maybe their whole life or most of their life, their primary language is American Sign Language. Now, American Sign Language is a distinct language, and there's different versions of it for people living in different parts of the world, or even different dialects of American Sign Language within the United States. But it's a distinct language. And when I first started working with people with hearing impairments, I assumed, okay, they know ASL, it's kind of English, and so English is going to be no problem at all. But actually, the syntax is different, the grammar is different, and and it's not written, so you don't have to write ASL to communicate. It's all visual. So when you have students who are learning English, learning to write English, learning to read English, it's not a given that they're just going to be able to jump in and fly. They're going to need support. And a lot of kids with hearing impairments, um, they also may have a specific learning disability in reading or writing. So it's really important that kids with hearing impairments are given supplemental instruction in writing and reading English if they need it. It should be caught early, and to make sure that none of us assume that's because they know ASL that they're going to know English, because it's a separate language. So make sure that that's being looked at. Um, Two schools in New Jersey that work with students with hearing impairments. There's others, but the state school is the Katzenbach School. The other school I want to highlight is the hearing impaired program at Bergen County Special Services. They have a few locations, and these are programs within public schools. But they're run by Bergen County Special Services, and they provide a range of hearing and educational supports for students with hearing impairments. Um, and then there's a number of national organizations, remote learning resources, the National Deaf Center, I forgot what this one stands for, the National Institute on Deafness and Other Communication Disorders. Hand Talk is kind of a blog um, for people with hearing impairments, and they have a nice page on assistive devices. And we talked about ASHA already. If you have good resources that you use, that you'd like to share, please email them to me. I'd love to see them. And earlier we talked about the AT Lending Library. I just want to take a quick look, because I did a search on technology for people with hearing impairments, and they came up with a whole bunch of stuff. They've got FM systems, um, amplified cordless phones, um, Clarity, Bluetooth corded phones. Oh, discontinued. And speaker phones. So if you need to borrow an FM system, personal FM system, or a voice recorder or amplified phones, you can definitely check out the Assistive Technology Lending Center. Okay, we're getting near the end. Um, before we go to Q&A, I would just like if you could please go back to the Menti poll and complete pages 4, 5, and 6. And again, these are um, confidential or anonymous, I should say, anonymous responses. And I'm just going to take a quick look at, thank you for completing page 2. Let's take a look and see what we got. So we've got an individual with disability, 2 family members, 2 teachers or school folks, and 1 vocational counselor. Okay, thank you. And please describe your primary purpose for assistive technology. Most are interested in education today, some community living. Do you think this would help, not help, or you're not sure? The assistive technology, that is. And on a scale of 1 to 5, how would you rate? We should have done this one at the beginning because, I would just tell you it's going to be a 5. But no, just kidding. I want your feedback. Okay, thanks very much for filling out the Menti poll. I greatly appreciate your input. For those of you who like to fill out forms, there's another form you could fill out. And if you put your email address in that form, you'll be entered to win a $30 gift card. And this is a Google Slides form. And here is the link to it. Tara, should I put the link in the chat?
I actually just put it in.
Oh, okay. So thank you, Tara. Tara just put the link in the chat if you want to access the survey that way. Okay, so we're gonna open it up to questions and comments. Because we are a manageable size group, you can use your microphone or use your chat, whatever you prefer. And I'm going to stop presenting here so that I can go back to my Zoom page. I'm going to stop sharing. And I'm going to open up the chat.